The night was darker than usual. The moon was hiding behind heavy clouds, and the wind moved through the trees with a low, whispering sound. In a small house on the edge of the forest lived a young boy named Tom. He was only 10 years old, small for his age, but his heart carried more curiosity than fear. Tom was supposed to be asleep. His parents were already dreaming in their room, but Tom lay awake in his bed. He kept pulling his blanket over his head and then peeking out again. Something outside had disturbed him. At first it was a sound. It was not the sound of the wind or the usual cry of an owl. It was sharper, stranger, like metal brushing against stone mixed with a soft hum, almost like a lullaby from another world. Tom sat up, his eyes wide. He pressed his ears hard to catch more of it. Yes, there it was again, the hum. It grew louder, then faded, then returned as if the night itself was breathing. His heart began to beat faster. He thought of waking his parents, but something inside him said no. Adults never believed children in stories like this. They would only say, "It's just your imagination, Tom. Go back to sleep." But Tom knew this sound was real. Curiosity pushed him to the window. He pulled the curtain slightly and looked outside. At first he saw only trees swaying, their shadows moving like dark hands on the ground. Then he saw it, a glow, a soft blue light deep in the forest. It was not a fire. It was not a flashlight. It was too steady, too alive. The glow pulsed slowly as though it had a heartbeat, one moment bright, the next moment dim, like a creature breathing in and out. Tom held his breath. His mouth felt dry. "What is that?" he whispered to himself. The glow seemed to call him. His small hands tightened on the window frame. His mind fought between fear and wonder. Part of him wanted to hide under his blanket and never move. But another part, stronger, wanted to know the truth. Tom slowly climbed out of bed. His blanket slipped to the floor, but he didn't notice. He slipped his feet into his shoes, not even tying the laces, and crept to the door. The wooden floor creaked under his weight, and he froze. He listened carefully. His parents still slept. He moved out of his room, step by step, careful not to wake anyone. He opened the back door quietly. The cold night air rushed in, brushing against his face. He shivered, but stepped outside. The forest was darker than the house, yet the glowing light ahead gave him a path. Every step he took, the hum grew clearer. It was not scary anymore. It was almost gentle, like it wanted him to follow. Branches cracked under his shoes. The air smelled of pine and wet earth. An owl hooted once, and Tom flinched, but his eyes stayed on the glow. Then suddenly he heard something else. A small soft cry. It was not human. It was high and shaky, almost like a baby's whimper, but not the same. It came from the same place as the light. Tom's skin prickled. He stopped behind a tree, his small body hidden. He peered around the trunk and saw something that froze him completely. There, in the middle of the forest clearing, was not a lantern, not a fire, not anything he had ever seen before. It was a small craft, silver and smooth, shaped like a teardrop resting on the earth. The glowing light came from its center, pulsing softly like the heart of a sleeping giant. Tom's mouth opened slightly, but no sound came out. His heart thudded in his chest like a drum. And then he saw movement. Inside the strange craft, through a narrow opening, something small was shifting. A tiny figure, curled and shaking, wrapped in something thin. Its glowing eyes blinked once, then closed again. Tom realized it was not a monster. It was a baby, an alien baby. He gasped, but quickly covered his mouth. He could not believe what his eyes told him. The baby gave another small cry, weak and tired. The sound was not threatening, it was sad. Tom stepped back, his mind spinning. He should run. He should go back to his bed and pretend none of this was real. But something held him there. The baby was cold. He could see it trembling. It needed something, and there was no one else to help. The strange hum of the craft surrounded the clearing, wrapping Tom in a strange calmness. He stood frozen, unsure of what to do next. The night was no longer ordinary. It had changed. And Tom's life, he felt deep inside, would never be the same again. Because in the middle of that dark forest, under the cold sky and the whispering trees, he had seen something no human child should have seen. Something that should not exist, and yet it was there, real, fragile, and waiting. The glow from the craft flickered once more, brighter this time, as if answering his unspoken thoughts. The alien baby gave another small cry. Tom swallowed hard. His hands trembled. Fear and wonder wrestled inside him. Should he go closer? Should he turn back? The question hung heavy in the night air with no answer. But one thing was clear. This was only the beginning of the strange night. Tom's breath came fast as he hid behind the thick tree. The blue glow from the strange craft painted the forest floor with silver light. His small fingers gripped the bark so tightly that his knuckles turned white. He wanted to run, but his legs would not move. It was as if the forest itself was holding him still. The strange hum filled the air again, low and steady like the purr of something alive. Tom's ears buzzed with it. He swallowed hard, his throat dry. The sound no longer seemed frightening, but it was powerful, like it was speaking in a language he could not understand. The cry came again. Soft, weak, helpless. Tom leaned forward just a little, his eyes wide with fear and wonder. Inside the craft, through the small opening, he saw the tiny figure more clearly now. It was no monster. It was no shadow. It was a baby, though not a human one. Its skin shimmered faintly under the blue light, as if made of starlight. Its arms were thin, trembling. Its eyes glowed faintly, large and round, blinking slowly like fading lanterns. Tom's chest tightened. The baby looked cold. It looked alone. He thought of his little sister at home who sometimes cried in her crib when she couldn't sleep. He remembered how she would only calm down when someone tucked her in, or when he gave her his blanket. The memory pulled at his heart. This alien baby looked the same, tired, lonely, and in need of comfort. Still, Tom hesitated. What if it's dangerous? He whispered to himself, his voice barely audible in the cold air. What if its parents come back? The thought made his stomach twist. The parents, if they were anything like this child, might be tall, strong, and angry. They might not understand why a human boy was standing near their child. They might even hurt him, but then the baby whimpered again. The sound was weak, pitiful. Tom's fear clashed with his kindness. His heart pounded, but slowly, carefully, he stepped out from behind the tree. His shoes crunched against dry leaves. He froze again, waiting. The hum of the craft did not change. The baby did not scream. The forest stayed silent except for the wind. Tom took another step. Then another. His eyes never left the tiny creature. At last he stood only a few feet away from the craft. He could see it more clearly now. The silver surface was smooth, shining like water, but warm light pulsed from its center like a heartbeat. Strange symbols glowed faintly on its side, curling and twisting like patterns drawn by the stars themselves. The baby stirred when Tom came closer. Its glowing eyes blinked open, and for the first time it looked directly at him. Tom froze, his heart almost stopping. The baby made a soft noise, neither a cry nor a growl. It was a sound of recognition, like it knew he was there. Tom's fear slowly melted. He crouched down, his small hands resting on his knees. His voice shook, but he spoke. "Hey there," he whispered softly. "Don't cry. I won't hurt you." The baby blinked again. Its trembling slowed just a little. It curled into itself, still shivering. Tom felt the cold air biting against his own skin. The baby must have been freezing. He thought of his blanket, still lying on the floor of his room. He wished he had brought it with him. The hum of the craft grew softer, almost like a lullaby. It was as if the ship itself was watching them, waiting to see what Tom would do. His hands shook as he reached out, but he stopped short of touching the strange craft. He didn't know if it would burn him or shock him or worse. His eyes darted to the baby again. Its glowing eyes closed halfway like it was falling asleep despite the cold. "No," Tom whispered, shaking his head. "Don't sleep yet. You need help." He stood quickly, his decision made. He ran back a few steps, then stopped. His heart thundered in his chest. What if the craft vanished before he returned? What if the baby was gone? But he knew what he had to do. Tom turned and sprinted back through the forest, branches snapping under his feet. His lungs burned with every breath. The blue glow behind him flickered between the trees as he ran toward home. When he reached the back door of the house, he slipped inside silently, his hands trembling as he grabbed his blanket from the floor. He hugged it tightly, the familiar fabric soft against his face. For a moment, he thought about staying. He could crawl back into bed, pretend this night had been a dream, but the baby's cry echoed in his memory. That weak, trembling sound. "No," Tom whispered firmly. "I can't leave it alone." He ran back into the night, clutching the blanket tightly. The forest seemed darker now, the shadows deeper, but he did not slow down. The glow was still there, waiting. When he reached the clearing again, he stopped, panting. The craft was still there, the baby still inside. Its eyes fluttered weakly, as if it was fading. Tom stepped forward, his hands shaking. He lifted the blanket and gently, carefully pushed it toward the baby. He didn't know if the craft would let him place it inside, but he had to try. The baby stirred, its small hands reaching out weakly. Its fingers brushed the fabric, glowing faintly against the cloth. Slowly, with effort, it pulled the blanket closer around its small body. Tom watched, his chest swelling with relief. The baby stopped trembling. Its glowing eyes closed fully, its breathing calm and steady at last. The hum of the craft shifted, softer now, almost like a sigh of peace. The symbols on its side glowed faintly brighter. Tom stayed frozen in the clearing, his heart pounding, his eyes wide with disbelief. He had done it. He had helped something not from this world. But deep inside, he knew this was not the end. This was only the beginning, because the forest was still too quiet. And somewhere above, in the endless night sky, he felt eyes watching. Tom stood in the clearing, his small chest rising and falling quickly. His blanket now covered the strange little creature. For a moment, the forest felt frozen in time. The silver craft hummed quietly, glowing with soft blue light while the baby alien lay curled under the warm fabric. Tom's legs shook, but he stayed where he was. He had never seen anything like this in his life. Every story he had read about space or aliens showed them as monsters, as dangers from the stars. But this baby was no monster. It was just a child, small, helpless, and trembling like any baby on Earth. The alien's skin shimmered faintly under the glow. It was smooth, almost glass-like, with colors that shifted when the light touched it. Blue, silver, and faint hints of green. Its head was slightly larger than a human baby's, with two wide, glowing eyes that now stayed closed in peaceful rest. Its tiny chest moved up and down as it breathed, making a soft sound that reminded Tom of a kitten sleeping. Tom slowly crouched down. His fingers pressed into the dirt as he leaned closer. Every part of him screamed to be careful, but curiosity pulled him forward. He wanted to see more. He wanted to understand what this strange baby was. The blanket shifted slightly as the alien baby moved, pulling it tighter around its body. Tom's eyes widened. The blanket had always been special to him. His grandmother had made it years ago, and it still smelled faintly of home, of safety. Now it rested around something from the stars. A strange feeling grew inside him, fear mixed with pride. He had helped. He had done something no other human child had ever done. The hum of the craft deepened for a moment, then softened again. Tom tilted his head, listening. It was almost like the ship was alive, aware of him and approving of what he had done. He whispered, almost without realizing it. "Are you okay now?" The alien baby stirred, its glowing eyes opening halfway. The light inside them was softer now, not harsh, not threatening. They looked directly at Tom, and for a moment he felt something pass between them. Not words, not sound, something deeper. Like a quiet thought, warm and gentle. "Safe," Tom gasped. His skin prickled. Had he imagined it? The baby blinked slowly, then gave a soft cooing noise. Its small hand appeared from beneath the blanket, fingers long and delicate with a faint glow at the tips. It reached forward weakly as if searching. Tom's heart thumped. Carefully, very carefully, he extended his own hand. His fingers trembled as he brought them close. He stopped just short of touching the tiny glowing hand. The alien's fingers brushed his lightly. A spark of warmth shot through Tom's skin, not burning, not painful. Just a gentle warmth that spread to his chest. His fear melted. For the first time, Tom smiled. "It's okay," he whispered. "I'm here." The baby gave another soft sound, almost like a sigh, and curled back into the blanket. Its glowing eyes closed again, but Tom didn't move away. He stayed crouched near the craft, his small body shaking from the cold night air. His own arms wrapped around himself, but his eyes stayed on the baby. The forest around him was unnaturally silent. Not a bird, not an insect, not even the wind dared to disturb this moment. The only sound was the steady hum of the craft, like a heartbeat echoing through the trees. Tom's mind spun with questions. Where had this baby come from? Why was it here alone? Where were its parents? And what would happen if they returned? He looked up at the dark sky. The stars blinked like watchful eyes. Somewhere out there, he thought, were creatures just like this baby. creatures who would do anything to find it. Fear returned for a moment. What if they were dangerous? What if they thought Tom was stealing their child? But then his eyes fell on the small figure wrapped in his blanket. The baby shifted slightly, making a soft sound of comfort. Tom's heart softened again. "No matter what happens," he whispered, "I won't let you be cold." The hum of the craft answered him, rising and falling like a lullaby. Minutes passed, but Tom didn't notice. The glow of the craft painted his face, and the weight of the night pressed down. He felt small in this vast world, but also strangely important. He was the only human to see this, the only one to be here. The alien baby gave a soft yawn. Its mouth opened slightly, showing tiny teeth that glowed faintly like pearls. It stretched its little arms, then curled back into sleep. Tom watched with wide eyes, amazed at every detail. Then suddenly a new sound cut through the night, a low hum from above. Tom's head snapped upward. His chest tightened. Another light, brighter than before, shone through the clouds. It was moving fast, descending toward the forest. His breath caught. His heart raced. "They're coming," he whispered. The alien baby stirred at the sound, its glowing eyes opening halfway again. The hum of the small craft grew louder, responding to the signal from above. Tom's hands shook. His thoughts raced wildly. What would happen when the new ship arrived? Would they take the baby? Would they hurt him? Or would they see what he had done, wrapping their child in warmth, and understand? He didn't know. But he did know one thing. This night was far from over. The glow above the trees grew brighter, flooding the forest in silver light. Tom's small body trembled, but he stood firm, his eyes fixed on the sky. The alien baby gave one final soft sound, and Tom realized it was no longer just a child from another world. It was his secret now. His responsibility, and the universe was coming for it. The forest clearing glowed brighter now. The silver craft pulsed with a steady rhythm, its soft hum rising like a song too deep for human words. The baby alien lay inside, wrapped in Tom's blanket, breathing slowly. Its trembling had stopped, its body finally at rest. Tom stood just outside the craft, his small shoes pressing into the damp ground. His heart was still racing from the sound he had heard above. Another ship was coming. He could feel it. The air itself seemed heavier, charged with something unseen. But when his eyes returned to the baby, his fear softened. The alien child looked peaceful for the first time. Its glowing eyes were closed, its small hands clutching the blanket tightly. The same blanket Tom had hugged on stormy nights when thunder frightened him. The blanket that always smelled like home. Now it belonged to something not of this earth. Tom crouched lower, his face close to the edge of the craft. He whispered softly, though he wasn't sure the baby could hear him. "You can keep it. It's yours now." The words felt strange, like a secret promise. He had never given away anything so important before, but somehow in this strange night it didn't feel like a loss. It felt right. The baby stirred, opening its glowing eyes halfway. For a brief moment Tom thought he saw understanding there. The child gave a faint cooing sound and pulled the blanket tighter. The hum of the craft changed, softer, calmer, almost like a sigh. The glowing symbols along its side shimmered faintly, as if responding to Tom's gift. A chill passed through the forest. The wind stopped. The trees stood silent. Even the ground seemed to wait. Tom felt a strange pressure in his chest, as if the entire night was holding its breath. Then came the sound again, a low rumble from above. Tom tilted his head upward. Through the thick clouds, light spilled down, brighter than the moon, sharper than stars. A massive shape descended slowly, cutting through the night sky. It was another ship, larger, louder, its hum shaking the ground beneath his feet. Tom's knees trembled. His heart pounded so hard it hurt. He wanted to run, to hide, to escape, but his legs did not move. He stayed, frozen in the clearing, his eyes locked on the light descending from above. The baby alien stirred again, sensing the arrival. It whimpered softly, its tiny hands clutching Tom's blanket tighter. Tom's breath caught. Something inside him shifted. He had been afraid before, but now he felt something stronger than fear. Responsibility. This child needed him, even if it didn't know it. The larger ship broke through the clouds, its surface shining like liquid metal. Its light swept across the forest, painting the trees in silver beams. The hum was deep, vibrating through the air, through Tom's bones, through the very earth beneath him. The small craft in front of him responded. Its own hum grew stronger, its symbols glowing brighter. The two ships were connected, speaking in a language beyond human understanding. Tom stepped back, shielding his eyes from the growing light. The larger ship hovered above, lowering slowly like a giant bird landing near its nest. And then, silence. The hum stopped. The forest froze. The light dimmed slightly. A panel on the large ship slid open. A ramp of glowing silver extended down, touching the forest floor. Tom's chest tightened. His small hands clenched into fists. Figures emerged. They were tall, much taller than humans. Their bodies shimmered with the same glass-like skin as the baby, but their glow was stronger, their movements powerful. Their eyes shone like twin stars scanning the clearing. Tom's stomach twisted. He wanted to run, but when the alien parent's gaze fell on the small craft and on the baby inside, he stayed. The baby gave a soft cry, pulling the blanket closer around itself. The glowing fabric caught the taller alien's attention. They paused, their eyes narrowing slightly as they noticed the strange human cloth wrapped around their child. Tom's breath quickened. Would they think he had harmed their baby? Would they be angry? His heart thumped painfully. One of the aliens stepped closer to the small craft. Its glowing eyes shifted toward Tom. The boy froze, his body shaking like a leaf in the wind. He wanted to explain, but his voice wouldn't come. He wanted to say, "I didn't hurt your baby, I helped. Please believe me." The taller alien leaned closer to the child. The baby reached up, making a soft coo, still holding Tom's blanket tightly. The parent paused. Then slowly, it turned its gaze back to Tom. For a long, endless moment, nothing happened. Tom stood still, breathless, staring into eyes that were not human, eyes that held the weight of stars. And then, the alien bowed its head, not deeply, but enough. A gesture small but powerful. Tom's lips parted in shock. His body loosened, his fear melting into awe. The alien had not attacked him. It had not taken the blanket away. Instead, it had accepted what Tom had given. The larger ship hummed again, softer this time. The tall figure stepped back, lifting the baby gently, blanket and all, into their arms. The child made a content sound, nuzzling closer into the warmth of Tom's gift. Tom felt tears sting his eyes. His blanket was gone forever, but in that moment it didn't matter. He had given comfort to something that wasn't even from his world. As the aliens turned back toward their ship, one of them paused. From its glowing hand, it placed something on the ground. A small stone, faintly shining, pulsing with the same rhythm as the ship's. Then without a sound, they walked back up the ramp. The light grew brighter. The hum deepened. The ship began to rise slowly, carrying the baby and Tom's blanket into the sky. Tom stood alone in the clearing, staring upward. His heart ached, but it was also full. The night closed around him again, the forest returning to silence. Only the stone remained on the ground, glowing faintly in the dark. Tom bent down, picked it up and held it tightly in his hand. The blanket was gone. But the gift was not forgotten, and deep inside Tom knew this story was far from over. The forest was no longer silent. The ground trembled softly under Tom's shoes as the massive ship hovered above the trees. Its glow was brighter than the moon, washing everything in cold silver light. The air crackled with strange energy, and Tom's skin tingled as if the very air was alive. He clutched the glowing stone in his hand, the gift left behind by the alien parents, and stared upward. His chest tightened with every passing second. He had never seen anything so large, so otherworldly. The ship's surface looked like liquid metal, shifting and rippling as though it breathed. Strange patterns of light moved across it, symbols that pulsed with rhythm like a heartbeat. The hum it made was deep and steady, a sound that seemed to crawl into Tom's bones. Tom's legs trembled. His body told him to run, to hide behind the trees and pretend none of this was real. But his heart kept him rooted. Something inside told him this was important, that he had to stay. Then with a low roar, the ship lowered further. The branches above swayed violently as if pushed by invisible winds. Leaves tore free and spun through the air, raining down in a silver storm. Tom shielded his face, but his eyes stayed locked on the descending craft. Finally, it slowed. A ramp of glowing light extended down from its underside, touching the ground with a faint hiss. The forest floor glowed where the ramp settled, as if the earth itself recognized it was touching something holy. Tom swallowed hard, his throat dry. His heart pounded so loudly it drowned out the hum for a moment. His fists clenched at his sides. Then, movement. From the glowing ramp, tall figures emerged. They were unlike anything Tom had ever seen. Taller than any human, their forms shimmered with the same translucent skin as the baby, but stronger, sharper, glowing faintly like starlight trapped in glass. Their eyes burned brighter than torches, scanning the clearing with an intelligence that felt ancient. Tom's knees nearly gave way. He wanted to run. Every instinct screamed danger. But when he saw their faces turn toward the small craft, the craft that had carried their child, his fear twisted into something else. The baby had been theirs. And Tom had touched it. He had given it his blanket. Would they be angry? Would they punish him? One of the figures stepped forward, moving with a grace too smooth to be human. Its gaze fell directly on Tom. The boy froze, his lungs refusing to take in air. The alien's eyes seemed to pierce into his soul, reading him like an open book. Tom clutched the stone tighter, its glow warming his palm. He whispered without thinking, "I didn't hurt it. I helped." The alien tilted its head slightly. It made no sound, but its glowing eyes flicked toward the small craft. The baby stirred inside, giving a faint cry and pulling Tom's blanket tighter around itself. Tom's heart softened. Even with its parents near, the baby still held on to the comfort he had given. The tall figures paused. They looked at one another, a silent exchange passing between them. Then one stepped closer to the craft. Its long, glowing hand reached inside, lifting the baby gently. The child whimpered once, then settled, nestling deeper into the human blanket. Tom's eyes burned with tears. He had lost something dear, but the sight of the baby resting safely in its parents' arms filled him with relief. Then it happened. The alien holding the baby turned to face Tom again. For a long, endless moment, their gazes locked. The boy's small body shook under the weight of that stare, but he did not look away. And then, the alien lowered its head slightly. A bow. Not deep, not long. But enough. Tom's lips parted. His chest tightened. That one gesture carried more meaning than words. They understood. They knew what he had done. The second alien stepped forward, holding something in its hand. It knelt down, lowering itself to Tom's level. For the first time, Tom saw its face up close. The glowing skin, the endless eyes, the faint light that pulsed like blood under glass. It was terrifying and beautiful all at once. The alien extended its hand, placing another glowing stone on the ground. The object pulsed faintly, like a tiny heartbeat. Then, without a word, the alien straightened and stepped back. Tom stared at the stone, his breath quick. Why were they leaving these gifts? What did they mean? The hum of the ship grew louder again. The tall figures carried the baby up the ramp, disappearing into the glowing interior. The ramp shimmered once, then slowly withdrew back into the ship's body. The boy's chest heaved as the ship began to rise. Leaves and dust spun around him in a furious dance. The light was so bright he had to shield his eyes, but he kept watching, refusing to look away. Higher and higher the ship climbed, until it was just a silver star against the night sky. Then it was gone. The forest fell silent again. The air was still, heavy with the memory of what had just happened. Tom looked down at his hands. In one he still held the first glowing stone. At his feet the second stone pulsed softly, painting the ground with pale light. His blanket was gone. His secret was no longer just his own. The universe had noticed him. And somehow, deep inside, Tom knew this was not the end. It was only the beginning. The clearing was quiet again. The giant ship had lifted into the clouds, leaving only silence and shadows behind. But Tom knew the night was not over. His small hand still clutched the glowing stone the aliens had left him. Its soft pulse beat against his palm like a second heartbeat, steady and alive. He stared at it with wide eyes. It was warm, not like an ordinary rock. Sometimes the glow grew brighter, then dimmer, like it was breathing. Tom swallowed hard. He had no words for what he was holding, but he felt deep inside that it was not just a stone. It was something more. The boy looked around the clearing. The smaller craft still rested there, humming faintly, though its light had softened. The air was thick, as though the forest itself was waiting. Tom's heart beat faster. Then he heard it. A voice, but not a voice. It was soft inside his head, like a whisper carried on the wind. Not in English, not in any language he knew. Yet somehow he understood. "Thank you." Tom gasped, his eyes widening. He turned in a circle, searching for the source. But there was no one there. Only the craft, the glowing trees, and the night. He clutched the stone tighter. "Who's there?" he whispered, his voice shaky. The hum of the ship deepened slightly. The symbols on its side glowed brighter, shimmering like fireflies caught in glass. Tom's breath caught. The voice came again, softer this time, not spoken but felt. "Safe now, child sleeps. You gave warmth." Tom's lips parted. His throat felt dry. The voice wasn't frightening. It was calm, heavy with meaning, like a lullaby made of thought. He sank slowly to his knees, the stone still pulsing in his hand. You can hear me?" he asked. There was a pause. Then the answer, faint but certain. "We see your heart. Small but strong. You gave what you had. You gave without fear." Tom's chest tightened. A shiver ran down his spine, not of fear but of wonder. He thought of his blanket, the one thing that always gave him comfort, now wrapped around an alien child. He had thought he lost something. But here, in the silence of the forest, he realized he had gained something else, something far greater. His eyes stung. "I just didn't want it to be cold," he whispered. The hum of the craft softened like a sigh. The glow of the stone in his palm brightened in answer. Then suddenly Tom's mind filled with pictures. Not clear, not sharp, but like dreams seen through fog. He saw stars, endless and bright. He saw planets glowing red, blue, green, spinning in the dark. He saw tall figures with eyes like suns, carrying children who glowed like tiny lanterns. He saw a long journey, a family searching across the galaxy, and then he saw the baby again, wrapped in his blanket, safe in its parents' arms. Tom gasped, his heart racing. The visions faded, leaving him panting, overwhelmed. He looked at the stone in disbelief. "You're showing me," he whispered. The voice echoed gently in his thoughts. No words, only truth. He stared down at the stone, his small fingers trembling. For the first time in his life, he felt the universe wasn't empty. It was full of life, full of stories, full of beings who could feel as deeply as he did. Tom stood slowly, his knees weak. He looked at the sky where the great ship had vanished. His voice was small but steady. "Will you come back?" There was silence. The hum of the craft in front of him softened to almost nothing. The forest grew still again, then faintly the answer came. "One day." When paths crossed again, Tom's chest swelled. His heart beat faster with both hope and sadness. He wanted to say more, but the voice was already fading. The glow of the smaller craft dimmed. Its symbols flickered once, then slowly went dark. The clearing was empty again. Only Tom remained, a boy under the silent stars, holding a stone that pulsed faintly in his hand. He stood there for a long time, listening to the stillness. He thought of his parents asleep at home, unaware that their son had spoken to something from beyond the stars. He thought of the baby, safe and warm because of a blanket he had given away, and he thought of the voice, calm, endless, carrying both gratitude and promise. The forest no longer felt ordinary. It felt alive, as though every tree, every shadow, every breath of wind now carried a secret he alone had witnessed. Tom looked at the stone one last time before slipping it into his pocket. Its glow shone faintly through the fabric, as though refusing to be hidden. He placed his small hand over it and whispered, "I'll keep it safe." The night gave no answer, but Tom felt something deep in his chest, like a quiet agreement, a silent exchange between him and the stars. It was not goodbye. It was a beginning. The night had grown calm again. The glow of the alien ships was gone, swallowed by the clouds and the endless stars. The forest stood silent as if nothing had happened. But Tom knew better. His small hands still trembled, and in his pocket, the glowing stone pulsed with quiet life. He walked slowly back through the trees, his feet crunching over fallen leaves. Every shadow felt different now. The forest was no longer just a place of owls and wind. It had become something greater, a place touched by the universe. Tom's mind replayed everything. The sound that woke him, the glowing craft, the baby wrapped in his blanket, the towering figures who bowed instead of attacking, the voice that had spoken inside his head, thanking him. It all felt like a dream, yet the stone in his pocket proved it was real. When he reached his small house, the windows glowed faintly with warm light. His parents still slept inside, unaware of the miracles just beyond their walls. Tom paused at the back door, his breath fogging in the cool night air. He wondered, should I tell them? But no words formed. How could anyone believe him? They would smile kindly, pat his head and say he had a big imagination. They would never believe he had seen another world's child cry in the cold, never believe he had given away his blanket to an alien baby. Tom sighed softly. Some secrets, he thought, were not meant to be told. Some were meant to be carried quietly, like glowing stones hidden in a pocket. He slipped inside the house, moving quietly so the floorboards would not creak. His room felt the same as always, small, safe, familiar. But he no longer felt the same. He sat on his bed and pulled the stone out. Its faint glow painted his hands in silver light. He turned it over slowly, watching the patterns inside swirl like trapped galaxies. He felt warmth in his chest, the same warmth he felt when he saw the baby safe in its parents' arms. This is more than a stone, he whispered to himself. It's a promise. Tom placed it on the bedside table. The glow lit up his room softly, brighter than any nightlight. For the first time in his life, he wasn't afraid of the dark. He lay down, staring at the ceiling. His blanket was gone, but strangely, he didn't feel empty. He felt proud. He had lost something precious, but he had gained something far more powerful. The knowledge that kindness mattered, even to the stars. As his eyes grew heavy, Tom drifted into dreams. And in those dreams, he saw the baby again, wrapped tightly in his blanket, sleeping peacefully while stars shone all around. Morning came. The sunlight spilled into his room, bright and golden. Birds chirped outside, the forest alive again with ordinary sounds. His parents called for breakfast as if nothing unusual had happened, but Tom sat quietly at the table, the stone hidden in his pocket. Every time it pulsed, he remembered the night before. He smiled faintly, though no one noticed. The days that followed returned to normal. School, chores, homework. Yet Tom carried the memory inside him. Sometimes when he sat alone at night, he would pull the stone out and watch it glow. It never faded, never died. Always pulsing, always alive. One evening, weeks later, as he held the stone in his hand, something happened. The glow brightened suddenly. Not just faint, but strong, so bright his entire room shone as if lit by a hidden star. Tom gasped, his heart racing. The warmth spread through his chest again, and then, just like before, visions filled his mind. He saw the alien baby, older now, crawling across a floor of silver light. He saw its parents watching, their glowing eyes gentle. He saw stars rushing past, planets spinning, galaxies stretching wide, and then he saw himself. Not as a child, but older, taller, standing on a strange world beneath two suns, holding the same glowing stone in his hand. The vision was brief, but it burned itself deep into his memory. The light dimmed. The room fell quiet again. Tom sat frozen, the stone warm in his palm. His breath came fast. He understood now. The stone was not just a gift. It was a connection, a bridge between him and them, a promise that their paths would cross again one day. When he was ready, Tom clenched the stone tightly, his heart swelling. "I'll be waiting," he whispered. Outside, the night sky stretched wide and endless. The stars blinked quietly, keeping their secrets. But Tom knew better. He knew the universe was alive, listening, watching. The human child had given his blanket to an alien baby so it could sleep. But in return, the universe had given him something greater. Hope. Hope that one day he would see them again. Hope that kindness could travel across stars. Hope that even the smallest act could echo forever. Tom lay back in his bed, the stone glowing faintly on his table. His eyes closed slowly, a smile on his lips. The night was quiet. The world was ordinary, but the future was waiting, and the universe would not forget.